if we can truly go inside and dig deep and figure out, what's happening internally, then our success is limitless. We're able to face the music, whatever that may be, and be able to understand that we are the problem and the solution. And when you're in that place, even when it is hard, knowing that there's a better way and you have to take that action.
Welcome back to the Balance Boldly podcast for ambitious women in business and a few brave men. I'm your host, Naketa Ren Thigpen. Excited to be back with you. We are in 2021. Okay, I know you're not a big fan of me singing, but it brings me joy. And because you guys love me, which is why you follow me every single week, you appreciate that I am silly and ridiculous and totally unapologetic about it, which is why I am super excited to continue season 24 with Unbound, Brilliance, and Unleash. Ooh. Take a pause for that one. Like, that's who I'm talking to. I'm talking to you, the inner part of you that has still been bound, that wants to be unbound, that is completely brilliant, ready to release all of it and be completely unleashed with limitless possibilities, which is why I have no other than Stacy Bahrenfuss with me today. I'm so excited. P.S. y'all, my husband is going to be really upset when he hears me singing like that. He's like, why? Why are you doing that? Why are you scaring the people? Let me tell you a little bit about Stacy. She is the founder of the Catalyst Group and creator of the Inside Out Success Method. Stacy started her real estate company, Catalyst Group, at the early age of 19. Where was she when I was thinking about having babies? Because I can't get my 19-year-old to do anything like start a company. So I'm impressed by her already. Even though she had to maneuver through and navigate a lot of uncertainty, which most of us can relate to coming out of 2020, she was able to be more than just a stable fixture in the real estate community. When there was a housing crisis around 2007 through 2010, she was able to scale her business beyond the 7-figure mark. In addition to all of those things, she learned a lot about herself, and she took those lessons while she was young, out there, beasting out, being ambitious, and she decided to give back to the other female change makers all over the globe. That's why she created her Inner Freedom and Fulfillment Success Method with her Premier Consulting program. Okay? That's what she's doing, and that's why I'm excited to have her. Welcome, Stacy, to the Balance Boldly Show. How are you today?
Hello, I'm doing wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here and talk with you today.
Same. I love your energy so much. This is so cool. I was telling Stacy right before we pushed record on everything, like how incredible her photo is. So let me just highlight that online because, I have no shame with this. She is beautiful. And she was like amazing in this picture. I was like, where did you get your outfit? Where did you get your clothes? I wanted to have all of it, but I won't go there. I want to talk to you more about what you're doing in the world that's pulling you forth and how you have become unbound with all of your brilliance as you unleashed it into the world.
Yes. Yeah. So, the biggest thing that has been, true for me in this process, and it's something that I'm just so passionate about sharing with other women is, we are able to free ourselves from the, whether it's limiting beliefs or, blocks that we have in any way, we are able to break through those and step into our highest potential. And that's really what I'm on a mission to help women see, is that ability to experience true freedom and fulfillment at the highest level so that they can truly make the impact they want to make and be who they want to be. For us as women, so much of the game, is who we're being. We're so, we're not familiar with that as we are the doing and the serving everyone else. And when we start to ask deeper questions of, who do we want to be in this world and how do we want to show up, it starts to change that game completely.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think part of it is because we're really good at following instructions,
Yeah.
right? Like when there's a rule book, we will dominate it because we're really good at like, okay, this says step 1 through 10, and I'm just going to figure out the fastest, best way to get through it and to be incredible. But when the rule book says no, there's no rule to you being your most powerful self, because I can't create a rule book around your power, right? Like it's your power. You have to unleash it on your own with some guidance and some support from other people who have already kind of been through it. It's really hard for us to slow down and like hold on to something that doesn't feel quite tangible when it's innate and it's internal.
Exactly. I was, well into my real estate career. I was about 10 years in, and I had reached a point of success where I had arrived and I had achieved all of the goals that I had set, and felt completely dissatisfied, unfulfilled, and sad, quite frankly. And it was at that point that I knew I had to start that inner, discovery work and that path. And just to your point, of that rule book and having to have that, because of that deep rooted belief that is totally in our subconscious that of course I wasn't aware of, is I can confidently say that because of that deep rooted belief, of if I have the rule book, you tell me what to do, I'm going to do it at the highest level. I probably would have, I would have taken the leap to do the purpose work.
Yeah.
Probably 5 years sooner.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm smiling so hard at that right now because I heard that, that higher level competitive part of us in your voice. You know how you're like, oh, I'm not competing with anyone else, I'm competing with myself, but you're like in that space of like, oh, I could literally see that if I got that book 5 years ago, I would have dominated this whole like personal introspection.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
I could see your face like you don't even understand, Naketa. Like I would have crushed that old me.
Yes.
I love it. So on so many levels. So what let you, like you were in a pretty what the world would call a very secure space, like anything to do with real estate and land, people are like, legacy forever, right? And you were in that space, and I'm sure all of that knowledge still comes with you now that you have that, the new method that you created. But what was the point for you when you were like, wait a minute, I get that I'm successful on paper and I'm not necessarily feeling as fulfilled at home. I get that. But now there's another kind of braver part of me that has to get into action with what that looks like. Because Stacy, many people, not just women, but we will look at ourselves and say, oh, I know I have to fix some stuff, but never actually go from like the knowing and the awareness of that to moving into doing something about it and being consistent with how uncomfortable that process is going to be. What was that like space for you?
Yeah, I think it was that deep belief and reminder of, we are here at this time in this life for a very specific reason. And we have a purpose that only we can fulfill, inspiration that only we have. And I don't think people always connect that, it might just like, oh, I'm just like everyone else. You're really not, and I think for me, it was that moment of what I do with this is my gift to God. And I have such, I have such an amazing gift of, energy and passion and life. What am I going to do with it? This certainly, is not the end destination that I'm to stop at, and of course that journey is what I can then share.
Yeah. So you got into, I guess, the vision casting of what it looks like to be future Stacy and meeting her, which is hard for a lot of people, right? Like when they're in the middle of the turmoil of the transition, right? The rocky part, the questioning state. For some people, it's really easy when things are great, when you're feeling good, when you just had a phenomenal date, whatever it was, when like all the juices are flowing. We're like, oh yeah, like future Naketa is, a beast, right? Like she's amazing. Future Stacy is amazing. But when you're in the midst of the actual transition, to still see yourself and hold that that person over there is where I want to be, because that's the true me on the inside. Like that's the authentic one. That's not just happy on paper. That's not just that, has a nice bank account, has a good business portfolio, has some great Instagram followers, right? Like I want to be in a space of whole life success. And I think that was something that I found out about you, which is where I linked really well. And I was excited about interviewing you, is because you're interested in whole success, which is very different than just the numbers. Numbers matter, money matters, but is a tool as a part of whole success. And I really appreciated that about you.
Yeah. And I appreciate that very much about you too, because it's something that is overlooked so much, is, that if we can truly go inside and dig deep and figure out, what's happening internally, then our success is limitless. We're able to face the music, whatever that may be, and be able to understand that we are the problem and the solution. And when you're in that place, even when it is hard, knowing that there's a better way, and you have to take that action.
1,000%. So how are you, helping your clients with this now? With your obviously you have a method, so there's a system and a framework for them to follow, and then we have the resistors, right? That are like that are kind of like battling you, to help you help them in the process. So how are you helping? Because I know this work is challenging. It's fulfilling, but it is very challenging. How are you, helping your clients with that?
Yeah. So we definitely start the process with, a very clear outcome that we want to accomplish, and going deep in that way, not only looking at the outcome, but looking at the outcome they truly want. And there's such a difference, because, a lot of people will start and they want X, but if I really ask, what is that highest and greatest ideal of the situation, the perfect vision, and I don't use the word perfect, ideal, but
yeah.
And it starts to train them to think the way that we are truly meant to think, without all of the conditions, the programs, and the limitations. They start to connect to, wow, I really can design my life, how I feel each day, and be more purposeful and intentional. And then from that point, I ask them, how would you know you would succeed in this program? What would be that one takeaway? And make sure that is achieved very early on, so that we have that, short-term success, so that they can see it's working, all of that psychological, stuff in the conversation. And then from there, I go through everything from meditation processes to talking about, belief systems, how they're showing up with their family, and that's how their parents treated them when they were growing up. And all these connections start to form, where they start taking their power back from blaming everyone to owning how their life is going.
You almost made me break out the maracas for that one. That's such a serious transformation. When you can move from this space of pointing the finger, and some of those fingers needed to be pointed, right? Like there's reality to if you were ever victimized, right? Like there's reality to someone harming you emotionally, physically, sexually, all the things. And then also being able to be in a space where you own how those things have impacted you and what you've done with them. And I know that that's huge for the line of work that you do.
Yes, absolutely. Couldn't say it better.
I would tell you, I'm looking at the maracas right now. Like,
you really have them there.
I do. Like, I'm trying not to. I know you can see me, so I'll show you, but I won't shake them because they get really loud, as we've been told. Like, Naketa, we love you, and stop shaking the maracas in the microphone. It's much louder than you think it is. But that was a moment, so, 2 snaps. With everything that you're doing with your clients and helping them get those quick wins, build the momentum so they can really, come from that outside space that, I always say you're working with the person inside the professional. So that professional shell, they're seeing the quicker wins. So now they're feeling safer. They're feeling more comfortable to go in and to allow you into that space. And now you're doing it and you're working with them to really, do the unthreading that is necessary for whatever has their brilliance bound, right? Like, let's do the unthreading, because once you do that and you help them just kind of feel comfortable with this new power that they've claimed, like the space that you help them tap back in, well, then they have to be unleashed, which is now another part of the transformation. Because it's one thing to be like, hey, like, I own my stuff. I get where those early scripts have impacted me and they imprinted into my life and they created narratives that no longer serve me. Like, I get that. Thank you, Stacy, for helping me do that, right? Like, I get it. And so, I'm just going to sit in my office and sit behind my computer and be right here owning all this power versus unleashing it into the world, which I know is another part of the process of what you help them with.
Yes. And that's the most important part, is designing that pathway to implement and integrate, and I think that's the biggest part of what I want to bring to this space is a high level focus on the integration of these ahas and, awareness moments, because it's so easy to have awarenesses, but if you don't do anything different, you stay stuck. And so I think, the biggest thing is to, then take them through the relationships that they can practice this, new power, and really unleash it and take action while we're in the program together so that they can have that trial and error. We can course correct in real time and, be able to test different things. And then also shine a light on, truly what is an addiction to the old self, because that comes back, so fiercely. And
yes, it does.
And sneaks up on you where, you're not taking the action and, all of a sudden you start feeling like, you did before. So I just think that, obsession almost throughout the time together on these things allows that integration to take place at a deeper level so that you can really step into everything that you are.
Oh, I'm here for all of it. That was another 2 snaps and shake of a maraca moment that that just happened in the background of my mind. Like, listen, all day you hit that, because there is that safety in going to your default space of whatever your survival techniques were, right? Like, it's so comfortable there. It's like the best comfortable space, even though it's maybe toxic for you now. It's not nutritional. And on some levels, it may not even be toxic. It just may not be serving you. And anything that's not serving you is definitely draining from you if it's taking up your oxygen and taking up your space. So I really, truly think that that's probably one of the, like, what would we say, icing on the cake moments of a method like the one that you have with the inside out success method, which is really crucial that people know it's the inside work that really gives you the shine on the outside to really make your whole success happen. So that is super incredible. So I have to ask you, Stacy, what do you do to give yourself permission to pause when you just need to bring it down from all this inside work that you're doing when you're rolling up your sleeves with people day in and day out?
Yes. The thing that I do is literally stop, just because I'll keep going, literally stop. And I do a simple 3-minute like deep inhalation, slow exhalation. So in for 3 counts, out for 6, and just pay attention to my breath. And it's so simple, but that allows me to, reset and then check my needs. I ask myself almost like I'm talking to another person, what do you need right now to fill your cup again? And sometimes I'll get the answer, go get that massage that, go to that masseuse that gets you in within 15 minutes notice, like whatever that may be. And I promised myself that when I get those messages to follow through and complete. And that absolutely helps in taking pause.
Yeah. You're honoring your own agreement to yourself.
Yes, exactly.
Love it so much. So how can people connect with you to get more information about what you're doing in the world, especially for your inside out success method?
Yes. So because my last name is so long, I don't talk about any social media or anything. I just say go to my website, which is limitlesswithstacyb.com.
I love it. I have to say, though, I did say your last name correctly.
You did. And I will say you are I think the only podcast host that has done that correctly the first time.
I appreciate that. I'm putting that down in the Hall of Fame of people who got it right the first time. Stacy, you are incredible. I really appreciate the work that you're doing in the world. I'm thankful that you are here, that you took a big leap and shifted yourself, got unbound from whatever was holding your brilliance so you can unleash and continue to help those other amazing change makers all over the globe as you have already been doing. Thank you for showing up and showing up fully.
Thank you so much for having me today. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Me too. Balance Boldly listeners, was Stacy not the best? What did I tell you? This was all about Unbound Brilliance Unleash, and she is a representation of that. Being young, hustling, serving, and not afraid to transition when that serving and that hustle, which was great and did amazing things for her family and to help her create legacy, just truly wasn't fulfilling anymore. And being brave enough to be able to make that shift so that she could shift into a greater level of herself. Phenomenal. As usual, I am grateful for all of you who tune in and week out, who have been following us for so long. I appreciate you in all the ways, regardless of whether or not the kids were stressing you out because of homework and all the things, or if you just decided that this was something you needed to fill your cup in the middle of an afternoon or an evening. I value you. I also want you to make sure you're continuing to subscribe, rate, and share so we can make sure that Apple and Spotify and Alexa, I won't say the word because I don't want it to turn on, will continue to play our episodes week in and week out, and make sure that these balance tools are available to the other ambitious and bold men and women out there in the world who could benefit from all things that will help them thrive in work life and in love. I'm Naketa Thigpen. I look forward to seeing you next week on the Balance Boldly podcast. Talk soon.